Hey, everybody. This is Coding with Bryan, Season Awesome, episode to be named at the end of the show. Let's see, Jeremy, what do we got so far? We've had, I believe, McDonald's pancakes and unicorns, right? Those are the episodes so far. So it was unicorns, McDonald's pancakes. We named the shows based on whatever the prevailing mood of the show is. I'm hoping it's not unicorns again, but I want to make this clear. I don't have a problem with repeating the same episode name. I'm not some anal crazy guy about that. If two shows both need to be called unicorns, they need to be called unicorns. We're just going to go with it. Of course, this show is about like developing software and stuff. That's about it, really. We've talked about a lot of things in the past. We're going to talk about a lot of things in the future. And today we're going to be talking about some of those things. So if that gives you an idea of the general format of the show, hopefully that helps you. Of course, this is a call-in show, so you can call in, you can chat with me. I can chat back to you. It's not a one-way chat, which is pretty cool. We do that via Skype. Of course, my call-in is Bryan Lunduke. It's all one word. You just smash them together on Skype, and you can call in. Do a Skype call test first. There is a Marine helicopter right overhead right now, and I swear to God, that is the most awesome thing that's ever happened on any Jupiter Broadcasting show. That's it. That's it. We should go out on top. Jeremy, kill the stream, throw the machines away. We're calling it good. So that's all I've got today for Coding with Bryan. I want to thank everyone for tuning. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, Jeremy, did you just get rid of my... Yeah. Whoa, that was wild, dude. That was totally wild. Did you just... Did you really? That was awesome. You actually went with it. All right. And Jeremy takes things way too literally. That's fantastic. So feel free to call in at any point throughout the show. I've got some things I want to talk about. If I get to them, great. If I don't, totally fine. Feel free to call and interrupt me. If you have questions about specific coding problems, advice about developing software, just general coding related topics you want to go over, like new release of an OS and their thing piss you off, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. We can cover any gamut. You can cover the marketing side, the release side, whatever. That's what we're here for, because we're awesome and they're not awesome. I don't know who they are, but they're not. And that's us who are. Excuse me while I have a Dr. Pepper break. It's just so good. It's what I'm saying here. Now I want to point out that we gave McDonald's a good solid month. I gave them some love. I undoubtedly raised their share price at least 25% with my glowing endorsement of McDonald's. But then I realized something. You know why I was going to McDonald's? It was for this guy right here. It's for Dr. Pepper. So, Dr. Pepper Corporation, who makes Dr. Pepper, I don't even know. You're delicious, and you should get a hold for the endorsements, is what I'm saying. Because we could be talking about, we could make this Dr. Pepper with Bryan in the future if you got a hold of me. That's all I'm saying. Also, if McDonald's still wants to get a hold of me, I'm still open to that. I mean, you're not like jerks or nothing. I got a weird thing above my tooth. It was a chip, you guys. It was a chip. It was a chip. All right. So let's get into this, actually talking about some actual coding things. So this week, I've been kind of toying around with the SDK for the new N900s that came out. Of course, you know, I'm like a big Mamo guy. Mamo, of course, is like the little Linux distribution. It's based on something called Hilden, which is like a portable GNOME desktop, which is very, very cool. The old Nokia N800s and N810s, which I love my N800 or N810. Really, really awesome. So the N900s have been coming along for a while. They're finally out, so I finally sat down with the SDK to really give it a run through. And it's okay. Like, I'm actually kind of a little underwhelmed by the software development aspect of it so far. And that's not to say that that this new Mamo 5 that, hey, Chris, you want to get your head out of the camera there? Yeah, thanks, big guy. Chris just, hey, big guy. Hey, there we go. It's not to say that it's bad. It's just that the device is really great. It looks really awesome. And it's very, very open, which makes me want to develop software for it. you get the little, you hear that and little Skype calls in the background. It's that there's no great tools to sit down and really dive into it. I mean, that's something that, of course, you can develop software for it right now using both GTK. You can develop Qt applications for it and all that. But like Qt Creator, which has kind of become the premier way of developing Qt software now, you can't really just sit down and say new Mamo 5 target or new Mamo 5 project or new N900 project and just boom, go and start, laying it out graphically and start tying, actual code to your say your button events or whatnot. And that seems kind of lame to me. When on the Windows mobile side, you've got great tools with cool visual designers and really integrated development. On the iPhone side, you've got that. In fact, on the Android side, you've got that. But I feel like on the Mamo side, you don't got that. So I'm a little underwhelmed by that. That said, I do know that both since Nokia and QT, since the Trolltech guys are all under the same roof, and Nokia bought them, I'm assuming that Qt Creator is eventually going to have support for either Mamo 5 or Mamo 6 or Mamo 7 or whatever they eventually get support in for is. So I'm a little underwhelmed right now, but I still really want the device very, very badly because it's so freaking cool. But what can you do? The other thing I wanted to mention here, and I know we're going to get into this a bit in Computer Action Show later today, is Google came out, of course, with their new OS, their Chrome OS thing. It's not out yet, but they announced it. And for those of you, everyone's probably seen it by now. All it is a Linux kernel with, they call it a custom window manager. And by that, they mean no window manager. And it's running a full screen version of Chrome, and that's it. That's all it is. I have a question. Now, I'm not going to get into how underwhelming that is or how I think that's the stupidest idea that any company's ever come out with. What I want to ask is, how on earth does it take until the end of next year to release a new operating system that is nothing more than an already released operating system with less software and an already released browser running on it? How on earth does that actually, is that even possible? How much time can it possibly take to make one browser that you've already made run pretty well under Linux, run under Linux, and not release anything else with it? There's no... This particular OS is not going to have vast hardware support. There's no driver issues. It's not even going to support much in the way of local storage. In fact, they're specifically saying it's not supposed to run on anything that has a hard drive. So what on earth is taking them so long? Is there just like one half of like one guy who's never developed software before working on this? It doesn't make any sense to me. Holy crud. It's just ridiculous. Whereas, you see like other small teams like Android. Android isn't like a huge behemoth, multi-thousand person dev team here, but they put out something that was interesting, and it's within the same company. So how is it that within one company you can go to both polar opposite extremes? It just boggles the mind. But I guess that's just the way it is. Every now and then a company's got to put out something that doesn't make any sense and spend a ton of money on it for no apparent reason and have their developers accomplish absolutely nothing. That's cool, I guess. So I'm willing to take Skype calls now. Those are the things actually I wanted to, yeah. Atom Fusion. Chrome OS was a Jefferson High School, to beginners C team. Yeah, that kind of feels like what it is, doesn't it? It's just kind of sad. I don't know. It's they get all this hype on it, and then it just takes away from all the emphasis that's put on things like Android, which is a really cool project. And from a developer's perspective, Android is kind of interesting in that you can, when you develop an application for it, you develop multiple services that all kind of can plug in together. On the Chrome OS side of things, which is like Google's Android competitor to itself, you just make websites. There's nothing special about it all. It's just websites. Like you'd make right now, like with like PHP and such. That's it. I don't know. It seems like it's really missing anything that would at all be valuable to a software developer or to a user or to anyone. So I didn't understand it. If you actually have an idea on that as to why that is important, definitely feel free to call in and Tell me, because I just can't freaking see it. Now, no, Skype call is Bryan Lunduke. That's your that's the Skype call in there. Because Jeremy was not paying attention from behind the camera, but we forgive him because he says he's cute. That's why we're forgiving him right now. All right. Someone's also asking about Google Go. If you want to talk about Google Go, go ahead and give a call in. But I don't have a whole lot to say about it, to be honest with you. But if you've got an opinion on it or any news to share about Google Go, feel free. And my mic stand's kind of falling apart here. But that's definitely up for it. All right. Turning over to Skype, I see that a lot of guys have just hopped online within the last 2 minutes that I recognize as being awesome. Feel free to call in. I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to sit here. Watch this. I'm going to sit back. I'm sitting back here, guys. You're going to call in. In 3, 2, 1. Dude. Oh, man. You just made my day, JZA. Oh, that was perfect timing, man.
What's up?
What can I do for you today?
Oh man.
But
So,
mute your stream in the background there. I hear me sounding awesome.
It's going down.
All right, thanks. All right, what's happening?
Cool. So first of all, I want to start with what you said about a QT designer or QT development, whatever.
Yeah, QT creator.
The
yeah.
ID for QT.
Yeah.
QT creator, right?
Yeah.
So last week I was in this really uber geek party in Mexico City,
Nice.
and we got the Nokia guys do a demo on the Qt Creator and developing for Symbian, Windows, Linux, and Mac. And they like a very specific part of the presentation devoted to the new Memo N900 and what it will be the Memo 6 development. And what they say basically is that Memo 5 is kind of like a transitional OS, where
Sure.
there's dropping Hilton and basically going full throttle towards Qt. Now, what they said about the SDK is that they do have a lot of modules, and you might have already know it, or you might not see it, but there's a lot of mobility, what they call the mobility APIs,
Yeah.
which handle a lot of basically the chipset for stuff that you do on the cell phone that you wouldn't do on the desktop, and that will eventually mature from Symbian to the Memo platform. And
Nice.
what they said is that the N900 will be just the first one, but they're actually trying to launch 4 different models for higher end smartphones
Really?
based on Memo. So it might not just be one hardware, one OS.
Ooh.
It will be multiple hardwares and become an actual smartphone platform as they switch to Memo 6.
Man, that could be really cool.
Yeah, so that really put me a lot of faith back into actually going and trying out Qt for an actual SDK platform.
Sure. I mean, that's kind of what I've been looking at. I mean, like, there's a lot of money to be made in mobile development nowadays. I mean, because it's really hard for us kind of solo devs to really make a lot of money in like the desktop space, because the only place that people are buying software still are like in like the high-end video editors and things like that. So, but if you want to get into mobile, it's I love Memo. I love how open it is. It's just been hard with at any one time they've only ever had like one device out really, and it's never really sold that big. And there was no real marketplace around for it. But, man, if they get to the point with Memo 6 where there's multiple phones and Qt Creator is made so you can work directly with the Memo devices, that'd be pretty pimp.
Right. Yeah, so that really got me really going. Now, on the other things about you said about Google, I do have a lot of mixed feelings, but I've been talking to this guy on Twitter, actually on Identica. Well, he was actually having this theory about Google doing the OS way before Google actually announced a Chrome OS like. And he has basically, there is this development, I don't know if you know it, it's called Native Client. And native client is up in the Google Code area, and what it does is basically from the browser, it actually can access the hardware specs of the computer,
Okay.
and use the rendering, the 3D or the graphic chipset, and actually do 3D animation, pretty much targeted at gaming, from the browser using the hideous JavaScript. So, I mean, and the cool thing is that actually I went in to the documentation, and what they're actually doing is they're actually pulling Python to develop in Python, and basically just spit out the JavaScript code. So you don't have to touch it. So if you have that, basically what he was saying is that if you have a browser OS, basically you can just install a URL.
Oh, okay.
Just go to a URL and you will have your application right there.
Interesting. Well, that does make it a little bit better. Like it opens it up at least a little bit in terms of possibilities. Because, man, I mean, the concept of having a whole OS where all I can have are websites is just so limiting from from a dev perspective. Like what, it's just, it's hard for me to get excited about any aspect of it.
Right. And
oh, did I lose you? I might have temporarily lost you, JCA. I liked what you were saying. If you've got more to say, feel free to call back in. But I lost you. That's all right, man. Thus is the thus is the way of the internet. The internet loses people to other people. It takes people who are connected with people and it takes them apart. And JZA is calling, and it also reconnects people, and that's pretty awesome too. Hey, man, I missed you. How you been? And what the internet also does is it plays tricks on you. It says, here's a funny pony. And, oh, hey, Jay-Z is there again. Hey, Jay-Z, how you doing? There is just sadness all over the internet today. But you know what? It's okay. This is a parable for life, you guys. If you are, let's say, a 6-year-old girl, and you have a pony, and you need to move where you don't have a horse farm anymore, your daddy takes away the pony. But then one day, he's like, I've got a surprise for you. And you go out driving through the countryside, and you drive past ponies. You think you're getting a pony, but no. You're going to the pumpkin patch, and you're just getting a stupid pumpkin. That's the entire story I've got there, you guys. That's all I've got for you. And you're just going to... You're just going to take that, and that applies to the internet. So if you have any thoughts on how the internet and ponies intertwine and how 6-year-old girls and ponies are at, is a simile for coders and the internet, feel free to hop on in, and we can talk that over. I really have absolutely nothing to talk about today. This is what I like to call the Bryan Did Not Prepare It All show. Brought to you in part by Dr. Pepper, which was established in 1885, and JCA is calling. Thank God. Hey, JZ, how you doing?
yeah.
Hey, man.
So.
Oh. Hey, where were we? What were we talking about?
Oh, just Skype got dropped. I mean, it's not a big deal. Happens.
It happens,
I was
yeah.
saying that the internet appliance is something that we saw in a year give birth and die a horrible death.
Oh yeah, dude! Back when B
seconds.
Incorporated came out with the BIA, the B Internet Appliance Platform, and everything, like little web tablets and all that sort of stuff, that just went away.
Every company was launching it. Intel had this internet appliance, and it was just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, they just kind of went away. I mean, now I guess we do have totally awesome PDA cell phones and stuff, but I think that's about it. And you know what's weird is it's like people are trying to relaunch them this year, and they're just failing right and left. Like the TechCrunch guy was going to relaunch his Crunch Pad, which was just like an internet appliance web pad, and it just it's not coming out. It's just like, and then there's a bunch of ebook readers, some of which are running Android on secondary screens, and those aren't out yet either. And when they do come out, still don't know if we can develop applications for them to be an internet appliance type thing. And it's just like, well, it seems like people want it, kinda, but not enough to ship it. Is kind of where it seems like.
Right. Well, what I think is basically that, we on the other side, we do have Splashtop. And the Splashtop is basically that Google Chrome OS, but then you can just escalate it. It's a 1-2 step. You can either boot the laptop using the SSD, having that Chrome OS kind of like OS.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go full force, you can just say, well, I want to, shut down the SSD and put up the actual hard drive with the full OS.
Oh.
And that actually looks like a better implementation than just having a dedicated machine for the SSD Chrome OS.
That does look like a much better way to go. Yeah, for sure.
So those are my two thoughts about the Chrome OS. Basically, it's not a good idea. I mean, the only thing I can justify it is people think that people are not going to get it. I mean, the Splashtop implementation, and there's just rather buy one machine with one OS and let people live in it.
Yeah.
On the other side, a good point is that it could be something that you can give out to your grandma or your kids or something. So you don't need to maintain it. It's kind of like the Thumbu application, the Thumbu computer, which was also kind of like an internet appliance with everything on the cloud.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you've got a machine that basically doesn't even really have a hard drive and it's just nothing but Chrome, you don't have to worry too much about many viruses and the like. It's just not going to be much of an issue.
Right. Plus, it's kind of like steady state, so it's kind of like a read-only. So if you get spyware or anything in the browser, you can just reboot and you start from scratch. I mean, from nothing.
I don't know. It just seems like we've already got like 8 million operating systems on this platform. I mean, heck, even like classic Amiga OS 3.1 has a WebKit port now, which is basically, what Chrome uses as well. So at this point, like, since you can have any OS on the planet running on any hardware on the planet running a WebKit browser, why do I need an entire OS dedicated to running the same WebKit-based browser I've got on every other platform? I just don't get it. Like, I don't get it. It's confusing to Bryan.
Yeah, it's pretty much confusing to everybody. I was hearing also other Linux podcasts talk about it, and they just don't get it. It was just like,
wait,
I mean,
man, hold up. What was that? You heard other Linux podcasts?
Yeah. They were just talking about it.
Like, buddy. oh man, you're cool. Otherwise, I do the hang up clicky on you right there. Wait, which other podcast were you listening to? Were you listening to the foreign guys or the U.S. guys?
Actually, well, yeah, it was. I think it was. What's the Linux Basement? I think.
Oh, he's cool. No, Chad's cool. You can listen to Chad. Chad's cool. He gets a pass. He gets a pass because he's cool and he tries to write songs at the end of some of his shows, and that makes me giggle on occasion. So he gets a pass.
And most of the time he's drunk. So
yeah, I feel like his head's in the right place. He's doing it for the right reasons. He's getting drunk and he's writing really horrible songs about Linux, so it's all good. For those of you who haven't listened to it, what you know what his website is? Is it like linuxbasement.info or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Just Google for Linux Basement.
I just get it on the podcatcher. I don't really go to a website.
He's all right. If you guys run out of Jupiter Broadcasting shows, you're allowed to listen in to Chat on the Linux Basement whenever you like. That's cool. Just don't listen to the foreign guys.
Oh, all right.
That's the rules. All right, that's all.
Right, man.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for calling it. No. When I say foreign guys, everyone knows who I'm talking about. The foreign guys. Two jerks over there in their jerky foreign place. I'm not even sure what country they're from. All right, that's all I'm going to talk about them. All right. So what I don't like, as a software developer, I want to be able to make money, right? Here we go.
Hey,
Hey,
Bryan.
hey, big guy, how you doing?
Pretty good.
The king is in the house. How is it?
Well, about Chrome OS,
Yes, sir.
I can think of one good use for it, and that would be to use it in private clouds in elementary and middle school.
Just in elementary schools where they just need web access.
Where they just need web access or basic word processing stuff. Chrome OS could be retargeted to a private cloud system that's set up in the school, where that all the documents are submitted there. The teachers could just review it straight from there.
Huh.
And document format difficulties would not be a problem because everybody's using the exact same web software to do all their work.
Yeah, but couldn't you just have a bunch of old machines running Linux and a bunch of other machines running OS 8 and then a bunch of other machines running Amiga OS all with like WebKit or Firefox based browsers and do the same thing without having to have like a new investment in hardware?
Would you want to maintain really, really old computers in a network?
Yeah, sure, why not? And I hung up on him. All right, for those of you who are new to the show, that was King Inuyasha. I like to hang up on him. This all started way back when we did video chat for a while, and for a while there, he had his video camera, his webcam, just pointed at his crotch, and I don't think he noticed it. So boom, hang up on him, and it just is fun. So I'm gonna keep it going. I got one Data Lore here is writing me. Don't be so mean. Foreign guys are cool. I agree. And here's the thing. You can be from so many places and be rad. Wherever the guys I am referring to are from, not rad. Don't know why. Don't even know what country it is. It could be a country previously I loved more than life itself. This particular boom, not rad. That's all I've got to say on that one. I just explained it with super awesome logic that cannot be refuted, and that's all I've got on that one. But yeah, no, I mean, I guess I see the point that King Inu something or other was just trying to make, where, having like a bunch of new machines that were fairly inexpensive, all running similar types of browsers, that is kind of nice in an environment that you're supporting. But we've already kind of got that. We've already got sub $200 machines that you can pick up, all that are brand new, running a variety of different OSs out of the gate. So I just don't see the benefit there. Back on the topic I was originally talking about, I want to be able to make money making software. Even if it's open source, whether it's closed source, it doesn't matter. I want to have some way to make money from it. If it's a operating system that is entirely quote unquote web based, in that all it is just one web browser, that kind of limits my flexibility here. So no one's going to be downloading an app, so I'm not going to be doing that. It's just kind of limiting. I don't like being limited, I mean, I'm okay if you create an OS that is primarily geared towards being online and web interaction. That's totally cool and everything. But I also want the option to buy a version of that device or that computer or that laptop, whatever, with a SD card or a solid state disk or a hard drive that I can install native applications on. Even if those native applications are just essentially like web applications rebundled up so they appeared native. That gives me more opportunity to distribute the applications in such a way as to pull revenue from them. And if I can't do that, then I can't be a hobbyist developer for that platform. If the big companies have a hard time doing that, then they're not going to hire me to develop the software for them, which makes it harder for me to get a job. So, I'm just not interested. That's just how that goes. All right. If there's anyone else who'd like to call in, the lines are open. I'm not 100% sure what's happening in the chat room right now. Adam Fusion just mentioned that to him, Go is the new Objective-C. I have no idea what he means by that, but if he would like to call in and make his point, he can use Skype to do so, and I welcome it freely. I promise not to hang up for at least 15 seconds. You've got at least 15 seconds to prove to me that you're kind of cool. No hanging uppy. I'm just going to point that out. I'm just saying. Cool peeps get no hang-ups. I'm just saying. Okay, sometimes they do. That happens sometimes. Sergey H. asks Bryan, all in caps. So he says, really, Bryan, what about Game Maker? I really don't know what you mean by that, Sergey H. Is game maker a thing, or like a person who game makes? What the heck are you talking about, man? I want to answer that question. I do not know what you're talking about, but feel free to Skype me in and or just type the chat room in the chat box, and we can go over it. I don't, Chris Lass, it makes me people kicking out. Here's the thing. There's a discussion going on in the chat room, and I don't really know what's going on right now. I wanna be able to reply to you guys, but I don't know half of the words that are coming out of you guys' mouths. All right, I'm loading up a thing here. Mike sent me over a URL for what looks like Game Maker, and Sergey H says it is a program for making crappy games. All right, well the website's not really loading, but I believe you, Sergey H. Game Maker is a program for making crappy games. That's what Sergey H says. I agree. Was there something else you wanted to bring up in relation to making crappy games? Like, was this a big thing? I do not know. Sorry, that was Eighth Doctor. Sorry about that. All right. Where are we at, guys? We're just hanging out. We're just hanging out, having a good time. We got Skype over here. We got chat over here. Jeremy is talking to me. Jeremy says, "Make something happen, everybody." All right, so here's what's going to go down. We're going to play a game. If somebody, now hear me out on this. If you call in within the next 10 seconds from the time I begin counting down, this show will be named after you. So this show, if your name is Tons of Butt, this show will be Season Awesome Episode Tons of Butt. That's how this is going to work, you guys. Now, this is big. This is a big freaking deal. You get ready for it. Now, the first person to call in after I begin counting down and before I get to 10 is going to be the winner. This is made complicated by the fact that we are lagging over the stream, and we have roughly a 10 to 15 second delay from the time I begin counting to the time you see it. So we are going by my time, so you have to guess how it's going to work out. Again, to make sure everyone has an equal footing on this one, it is Skype. The handle is Bryan Lunduke, all one word. And here's the thing. I will let you tell me what your name is. So you get to pick that name. And 10, 9, 8. Savan. That was kind of cool. I never said it like that before. Jeremy, you like that? Savan. You like that? 6, 5. Jeremy, are you counting down in the chat room for me?
No, I was.
Are you where you gave up? What number am I at? Am I 5?
Go back to
6, 5, 4. This isn't working. 3, 2, 1. Well, I think someone's trying to get a hold of me, but, you know, he missed it. So here's what's going to happen. This episode, season opposite. I'm just going to give up talking. I've got to do 2 more shows after I do this one today, ladies and gentlemen, and it's only going downhill from here. This is Season Awesome, episode The Unnamed. We're just going to call it that. Just going to call it that. Anyway, that's generally all I've got for today. Now, if you would like to have a specific topic covered in this show, in the past we've had kind of specific topics for the show, and it's generally better that way because it kind of kicks off a specific thing where we're talking about mobile development, which honestly is pretty much all we talked about this time too, and the like. Definitely head on over to lunduke.com. And either send me an email or drop a comment in on one of the blog posts there. Let me know what your thoughts are. Any requests for topics to talk about in the future show, and I'll get right on that. Until then, though, what we're going to do now is we are going to close this effort down. We're going to take the roof that we raised oh so high, and we're going to keep it down. Basically, instead of raising it, going to keep it down. And that's going to bring us to the end. I've got a question from Project Morris. Okay, Bryan, question. What bloody use were Pascal and Fortran that I was taught at college? I have absolutely no idea. Pascal was used a hell of a lot back in the BBS days, and it was a big friggin' deal back then. Pascal was also pretty awesome back in the early Mac days, because Macs were just like based around Pascal, and honestly, it's powerful enough to make it through. And Fortran is just for number crunching, and well, who does that anymore? Who actually does math? I mean, seriously? You go around and you'll be like, I'm a software developer. Oh, you must be good at math. I'm like, no. Why on earth would I be good at math? I have every math function in the world built into my computer. All I have to know is what it's called. And here's the thing, I don't even have to spell it. Like logarithm. I don't have a clue how to spell logarithm. I can spell log though. And so I just type LOG. Boom. Done. Here's the great thing. Most IDEs, I don't even have to know how to spell log. I just hit LO, wait for a minute while my brain goes, and then it goes, G? Well, log? Is that what you're talking about? Boom. Done. Now, that's how little I have to know math. So Fortran is good for people who need to do math. That's like two guys that are in this whole world. Like that's it. That just freaked me out. Did someone just prank call me and hang up immediately? That freaks me out. So that's how that is. Yeah, exactly. ArcSyn. What the heck is an ArcSyn? I don't have a clue. You know what, though? You're doing a 3D game, you probably need to do an ArcSyn. Why? I do not know. The reason I know how to use most of these is because I Google searched for what I was trying to get done. It told me to type it in, so I did it. That is my power of the brain. That is brain-powered knowledge is what that is. So that's really all that those are good for. Bryan, I was kind of good at BASIC on the Commodore 64. Is there a coding language which is similar to BASIC and easy to learn, and it can't be used on different platforms? Wait a minute. And can it be used on different platforms? Windows, Linux, Mac. Hey, okay, I'll let Project Morris come on in. So here's the thing, Project Morris. I was ending the show because I just didn't have anything good to say, and now I just want to talk. So the show's gonna keep going, suckers. What do you got to say, man?
Who am I speaking to?
You're speaking to Bryan.
I'm sorry. It's just because there's so much lag.
You might want to turn the stream down a little bit here. It'll be a little easier for you.
Just a second. You're speaking to Bryan.
Oh, no problem, man.
Okay.
I've got all the time in the world.
The stream's off now. Yeah, thanks for your answer on Fortran and Pascal. It was just something that was foisted on us all, and we just had to learn it. It was all this 7-step in and
Yep.
punching cards and writing things on strange graph paper type stuff. So yeah, just interesting to see how programming's moved on, and all the guys I know work as a programmer before. And they've got all, well, we do a lot of AS400 stuff, so it's a lot of green and black, and we also do quite a lot of web-based stuff, which is run on Apache, which is amazing. Yeah. There we go. Anyway, thanks very much for answering the question, and I do hope the Dr. Pepper promotion stuff comes through.
Well, I'm just saying is it tastes so good. And rumor has it that it is made with prune juice, or at least was, and that'll keep you regular. So. All right. Thanks, Project Morris.
Okay. Take it easy.
Later, man. All right. What was the question? We had a basic question. So a guy was good at basic on the Commodore 64. Is there anything new current? There's actually a ton. Free Basic is a good one. It's not a bad one to check out. Also, yeah, there's Real Basic on the commercial side of things, which if you're running Linux, the standard edition of Real Basic, which is pretty much all you need, is free as in beer, not as free as in you get to do whatever you want with the code. But So it's not too bad. KBasic is not very good. Has some real problems. But it kind of depends. If you're doing command line stuff, actually Free Basic's pretty solid. Why not go that route? That's kind of the way I'd probably go. Yeah, Gambus. Gambus is another really good one, actually. Gambus, I do highly recommend. If you like the basic style, honestly, jumping to Pascal isn't too terrible of a leap. It's not going to give you a whole lot of marketable skills, to be honest with you, other than if you also want to learn Delphi, which is the kind of Borland's visual developer on top of Pascal, which there's some jobs for, but not a ton nowadays. But there is Lazarus, which is kind of like a free version of that for every platform. So it's Linux, Windows, Mac, what have you. But Free Basic is probably a good way to go. Bryan, when are you going to shave your head again? You know, funny you should ask that. I was just thinking over what I'm going to do with this mop of hair on my head, and I still don't know. Maybe I should just take a poll or something. Should I get a mohawk? Should I shave it and do spikes and do like those totally awesome like Asian guys in the gangs with the like little frosty tips and the whatnots? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Who knows? I'm just going to roll with it. I'll probably just let it be moppy and generally on my head for a while, but that's about all it's gonna go with. Delphi, isn't Delphi object oriented Pascal? Yeah, sort of. Delphi is the whole IDE and the whole framework that Borland put out, which is what Lazarus is kind of replaced with. It's more of the whole deal. How similar is C# and C or C++? What? Those are like three totally different things. That's like saying how similar is car and donkey and house. I don't know. They're like you can sit on top of all of them technically. That's all I got. Like you have a specific question for that one. C# and C++ and C are all just kind of very different beasts. I mean, really. I mean, technically, there's C, and that's kind of like the granddaddy, and it's sitting over here, and it's all old, and he's feeling crusty, and nobody loves him, but he's really fast, though you write an app with it, and it's really buggy because there's memory leaks, and you don't know why. And then C++ comes along, and he's like, I'm the son of that guy, and I'm better than he was, and I don't memory leak quite as much, but unless I'm in the hands of this other development company, in which case I leak almost more than the other guy, and then I'm a little more powerful, but on the other hand, I'm a little bit slower than before. And then I'm also poorly designed so that if you really want to do rapid application development, I'm just going to make things screw up for you. And then C# comes in and he's like, I don't know who the F you guys are. My daddy's Java, and except I'm a little bit faster than Java, except for the things where I'm slower than Java. That's how they're related. So now you know. So now you can make the decision that's best for you of which one to learn. From what I've heard, C# is where Java was like 5 years ago. Not at all. Java like 5 years ago was like, hey everybody, applets and browsers, they're amazing. It's so much fun. We should put applets in browsers and they're lots of fun. C# is like, I'm just the language dudes. What's going on? That's like the difference between the two. I mean, I don't know. Java as a language and C# as a language are amazing. They're both very good, very easy to pick up and run with languages that have a lot of similarities. There are more frameworks out there currently for Java. Like if you're going to sit down and do a lot of server-side development, there's much more going on in the Java world than the C# world. But that said, ASP.NET and C# is making a lot of inroads. So on the desktop side of things, Java's all over the place, including embedded devices. But you seem to have a little bit more power to make native looking and native feeling applications on the C# side. So it just depends on what you're doing here. Do you know of any good sources to start off with Python? Is it hard to learn? What kind of software is available on Ubuntu to help me coding with Python? This is a good question. Okay, so Python is not hard to learn at all. In fact, it's a very good first or second language to pick up on. There are downsides to Python in that it's an always interpreted language, except for when it's not, but it almost always is. But it's a very easy to pick up language. It's a very powerful language. The problem with Python, though, is if you learn it as one of your first few languages, you're spoiled. It's over. You're done for. And let's say you get a job where you have to do Java development. You're going to hit your head against the wall and go, really? Really? This is how I have to make software? Why can't I just redo this in Python? And that's a problem because it will make you sad all the time. So it's horrible, but I recommend if you're going to be long-term developing, don't start with Python. If you're doing it as a hobby, by all means, jump right into Python and just stay there. But as for good ways to start programming in Python on, say, a Linux desktop and the like, there's really not anything, actually. There's been a lot of tools that have been coming out. There's one called Quickly that Ubuntu was kind of pushing with their current release. It doesn't really do much of anything other than create a couple of template projects for you, which you can just get by searching online for Python tutorials. There's no really great Python integrated IDE where you can just like drag and drop your UI and double click and add some code in Python to what your button event handlers, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going to have to learn one good windowing framework. Most people go with either GTK or like WX widgets for it. There are also Qt bindings for Python as well. So you can kind of pick and choose, but you really have to learn the specifics of your particular windowing manager and your windowing toolkit along with Python to do anything that's not just command line. Chris asks, hasn't every Mars robot mysteriously crashed and died? Yes and no. As far as we know, they have all crashed and died. But what we don't know is whether or not they really died. I'm just saying there's stuff going on that we don't necessarily know about. And if they're all the way on Mars. An analog. There is a dude in Sweden. I have never met this dude, but my guess is he got into a car crash one time. I have no idea what happened to him after that car crash. For all I know, he could be living in a mine somewhere. He could have turned into a killer robot. He could have been met by aliens. I don't know. He's all the way in Sweden. Why would I even care? The same thing is true for Mars. That's even farther away than Sweden. Like, no one's ever been to Sweden before. Even less people have ever been to Mars. What's happened? We don't know. So I'm just saying, who knows? Bryan, do you ever prefer structs over classes? No. God, no. Hell no. Here's the thing. Okay. Structs are for angry old developers who have neck beards that go like down to like their knees. That's what structs are for. You don't want structs. You just build a class, man. It's the object-oriented world we live in. We don't need structs anymore. We just don't need them. Yes, they're lighter weight. Great. You know what? You know how much RAM my machine has? It has like 80 bajillion gigawatts of RAM. That's how much RAM it has. One little class is not going to hurt me for using it as opposed to a struct. Plus, the great thing is, let's say, plus I can include logic in my class. So I can have getter and setter methods in my class, can't on my struct, which means that, let's say I want a struct to store Jeremy's name, right? Or just like an object somewhere. I need to say, okay, here's the Jeremy name class. Great. If I have a struct, it just says Jeremy's name. Okay, so I assign the string that says Jeremy's name. Okay, now Jeremy's name now says it's Jeremy. Awesome. That's great. That's what I wanted. Or is it? What if what I really wanted was an object that puts in a generic name, but when it happens to be Jeremy, it changes it to Foo Princess? I can't do that with a struct. I can with a class. Boom, class is superior. End of story. Anyone who's using a language and they're using structs, you're doing it wrong. I'm just telling you, you're doing it wrong. If you're in college right now and you're taking a class and your professor tells you to use structs, show him this video and say, you're doing it wrong. In fact, if anyone would like to quote me about doing it wrong, feel free. In fact, you can just make a whole music video about you're doing it wrong, and I wouldn't mind that. All right. Yes, that was a Back to the Future reference with my gigawatts, because really everything's measured in gigawatts nowadays. And that could be the episode name for the day. All right, I think that is absolutely right, Mike. This has been Season Awesome, episode You Doing It Wrong, of Coding with Bryan. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us today. We're gonna head off now. Man, what is it with this show? the first half of the show is boring as crud muffins. Like, I just sit around and fart for a while, and then you guys get all awesome and with like your questions and your like calls, and you're all funny and entertaining. And oh wait, that was me. Just kidding, guys. You guys were awesome. But like, you guys get all engaged, and like I get turned into my like mode, and like it's awesome. What we should do is we should just start having a 2-hour show, and the first hour we just don't record for the first hour, and then we're like, okay, it's starting to get interesting. Jeremy hits the record button. That's what we should start doing, because that's just how it's going to work. But again, if you have any ideas for topics for future shows, definitely head over to my blog. Let me know. You can also head over to jupitercolony.com and just use any one of the forums there. Hell, go into Beer is Tasty and tell us you want me to get drunk and talk about this particular coding topic. Totally valid as far as I'm concerned. But then again, I want to thank everyone for heading out. You can see me on twitter.com/Bryan Lunduke. Sometimes I'm over on Facebook, facebook.com/Jupiter Broadcasting. Lots and lots of good times. And that's about all I've got. If, by the way, you've never seen any Jupiter Broadcasting show before, what the heck, man? Head over to jupiterbroadcasting.com. We've got stuff there. Then again, I've said then again several times. Jeremy, how many times have I said then again? He's counting down. He's counting down right now. And